Here's the truth nobody tells you. You can't think your way into self compassion while your nervous system is in fight or flight. Your brain can't hear kindness when your body thinks you're in danger. Welcome to day one of the self compassion reboot, from self criticism to self connection. I am Angie, your inner glow coach, and today we're setting the foundation for the entire challenge. Because before you can change your relationship with yourself, you need to understand what's happening inside of you. Today is all about awareness and nervous system regulation. This is the root of everything. Without these things, self compassion feels impossible. Because when your nervous system is activated, when you're overwhelmed, anxious, perfectionistic, or spiraling, your brain shifts into survival mode. And survival mode has one job: to protect you, even if that means attacking you. That's why your inner critic gets louder when you're stressed. That's why you can't just be nice to yourself. That's why self-compassion feels fake or forced or like it doesn't work for you. And it's not because you're broken. It's because your nervous system is doing exactly what it believes to keep you safe. The first step that we're going to work on today is awareness. And that is it. Awareness simply means noticing. So instead of, oh, this is me making a mistake and the world is ending and I have to overreact, just be aware that that is your nervous system reacting and that you're having a triggering event. And I know awareness sounds small, but it's massive because our beliefs are running on this subconscious programming that we're not even thinking about. So the moment that you bring awareness to the topic or the situation, you're interrupting that automatic pattern. See, I'm not perfect because I make mistakes. And that's another thing. I am not editing these videos just to prove that it doesn't matter if you're perfect, because if someone is judging me for having perfect grammar or perfect not stumbling over my words, I'm a human being and I'm not perfect, so I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm intentionally, and I usually don't edit my videos for that reason, because my whole brand is being a human being and this is who I am. So that's that. But back to our automatic programming. Awareness is huge because when you're consciously being aware that you're doing something, you are interrupting the subconscious pattern. And so you shift from, like, I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase like the forest from the trees. Like when you're in the forest, it's really hard to interpret the situation when you're in it. But when you're observing the forest, it's easier to understand the entire ecosystem of the forest as a whole. So it's really taking the step back from being inside the triggering event to being a conscious observer of the event. And I know, and it's not as simple as it sounds, but once you develop this practice, I am telling you, that is the first step to interrupting the pattern. And a lot of people that I work with, they'll say to me like, "Oh, I wish I would have done this instead of that," or "I didn't make the choice I wanted to make," or "I didn't respond the way that I wanted to." And in my opinion, that is still a win because you are aware that you had a different choice and you are aware that you chose something you didn't want to. So that is information that you can use for the next time. So awareness is huge in self-compassion, but also in any other area of your life. So for awareness, which is what I want you to start working on for your self-compassion practice, just be aware of the moments where you're kicking yourself for making a mistake or not being perfect, and just be aware, like, I notice that I'm having a physical reaction to this. I notice that I'm feeling anxious. I notice that I have the urge to be perfect right now. Just be aware. You're not trying to fix anything. You're at this point, you're not trying to reprogram that belief or do anything. This is simply to get in the practice of being aware. This is the first step to creating any meaningful change in any part of your life. So your homework for day one, and this is only part one, is awareness. And the second part of day one is nervous system regulation. When your body is in survival mode, your inner voice will always sound harsh. When your body is regulated, your inner voice becomes kinder almost automatically. And that's because when you are triggered into these like anxious and other feelings, you're listening to your critical inner voice. But when your nervous system is regulated, you can actually tap into your intuition or higher self. And whether you're woo-woo or not, everyone has that compassionate voice. It's just being drowned out by your critical inner voice. So your other piece of homework for day one is built on regulation practices because your nervous system needs safety before your mind can create change. And this is something, again, just like awareness, not only does this change everything for self-compassion, but this impacts all areas of your life. But this is what I have learned about nervous system regulation. When you are triggered, this is a scientific fact. The physiological sensations in your body only last 90 seconds. So for example, if you feel anxious, like for me, when I'm anxious, I feel it in my chest. My chest feels tight. Depending on the intensity, sometimes it even feels like I'm having a heart attack. But the physiological symptoms only last 90 seconds. The reason why they last longer is because of the stories that we tell ourselves in our head. So, for example, if I'm having an anxiety attack and I'm telling myself I'm having a heart attack, that's going to intensify the situation and draw it out even longer. So, unless you really are having a heart attack or a medical emergency, yes, attend to that. But if you are not, the first step in nervous system regulation, just get rid of the story. We do have to come back to that later to work on belief reprogramming, but in the moment, just to take down the emotional intensity so that you can tap in to your higher self and just logical thinking in general. Just for the moment, get rid of the story. Don't focus on the story. Don't focus on your brain. Focus on the physiological response in your body. So if you're feeling tight in your chest, if you can't breathe, wherever you're feeling it in your body, focus on that. And what I do, I usually put one hand on my stomach and one hand on my chest. And for 90 seconds, I just take deep breaths and I repeat to myself, I am safe in my body. I am safe in my body. Because the truth is, you are safe in your body. Your feelings like anxiety or these really emotional, intense feelings, they make you feel like you're not safe in your body. And it just causes to this whole downward spiral. And so when you practice self-compassion, you're basically just acknowledging, this is my biology. I'm a human being. It's okay to feel these feelings. And I feel safe in my body while I'm feeling these feelings. And I promise you, as long as you stay away from the story and whatever's going on in your brain, the physiological responses in your body, they will go away in 90 seconds. Now, that's just for when you get triggered to bring the intensity down. But I do recommend a daily practice of nervous system regulation. In general, you should be treating your nervous system like a baby, because if a baby were crying, you would be like, do you need to eat? Do you need to take a nap? Do you need your diaper changed? You would be attending to the baby to see what it needs to emotionally soothe it. So the same should be done for your nervous system on a daily basis, whether that means taking a mindful walk. My thing is nature. I love the ocean. I love trees. It could be listening to music. It could be dancing. You should also have a daily practice of regulating your nervous system. So, and it's not about like toxic positivity, because if your nervous system is hypervigilant, that's great because that means it's working. And it's not bad to feel quote unquote negative feelings. They're just feelings. The problem is you don't want to stay there because then it contributes to the rumination of the stories and just exacerbates these limiting beliefs that aren't even true. So, when you catch yourself in these moments of perfectionism, because usually there's a survival response associated to it. So that creates a nervous system response. So I also want you to get in the practice of the 90-second practice of bringing down the emotional intensity. And we will work on the belief side of it on another day. But for now, the homework is number one, simply be aware of the moments that you are caught up in being a perfectionist and having those tendencies. Also, notice where you feel it in the body, how you're feeling, and use that regulation tool to bring down the emotional intensity. And I know this may sound like a lot, and it can be at first, especially the awareness, because initially you're going to be noticing a lot of things, and that can feel really overwhelming. And that's okay. That's all part of the work. And again, the goal is not to be perfect, it's to always be improving yourself and becoming a better version of yourself. And these tools are just tools on the path to that journey. So, awareness, nervous system regulation. And if this resonated, you are going to love day day two. Where this is day one. So day one is just getting in the practice of awareness and nervous system regulation. Day two is going to be working on some other things. So again, these are practices. So it's not just going to be like one day, check a box and move on. This is something that you should either spend a few days on, spend even a month on before you move on to day two. Or if you want to watch all 3 days in a row and then continue the practice however you want, then do that. Again, I mentioned in day zero, there are no rules. This isn't about checking a box. This is about intentionally having new tools and having new choices and having new behaviors so that you can learn to be happy and not be tied down by that anxiety and hypervigilance that perfectionism usually brings. So, that is day one, and I am super excited for day two because I have more tools for you tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow.